On the live, the beautiful morning in the suburbs of Atlanta, painting this board. It has an aluminum layer underneath. It's pretty cool material. And I'm adding mineral rich clay that I get from a crystal mine. It has a lot of natural minerals in it and nature's glitter, if you will. And a lot of times I like to use acrylic paint in different mediums and then use the sieve and directly apply the clay onto wet paint. And then I use water and sometimes a brush or a tool to kind of integrate the clay to different degrees. It's obviously an art and not a science. So part of it is experimentation. And I like to say that I'm always in a process of experiential learning. Of 7 of these large pieces, and I'm making a limited edition series, and, I'll frame it with a metal frame. Pretty excited. It's not natural for me to talk while I paint, or explain what I'm doing, so I'm part of me getting on these lives is just practicing getting used to that. Um, because right now what I'm was thinking is I added that gray layer over the raw sienna, and now I'm kind of lightening it back up. As I work so often with designers, I'm always thinking about how something's gonna look with design, other design elements. You know, a lot of times I make for contemporary homes, so I'm always thinking about that. And I know some people say that's not real art, or you shouldn't be thinking about the aesthetics or, the design necessarily in the process. Um, but I disagree. I love making beauty and I love considering the complete design when I make art because yeah, I mean it needs to look good with everything else. Um, so I do really consider how each looks in a contemporary home, for example. I let the thought of it being in the home help guide the tone, um, at least the color story. There's a lot of freedom in my work. I love especially painting in the morning out here with the little birdies. Even better if it's overcast like today. This is incredible for me. I love to get up pretty early, get outside at sunrise, and lay my first layer down. Sometimes I have many, many projects. Sometimes I have to produce high volumes in short periods of time. And people will always ask me how I do it. And one way is that I get up early and lay down the first layer, and then I go about my morning routine with the kids and going to the gym and everything I need to do, and then come back for layer 2. I had a little bit of a dark painting era over the winter, and I'm going a little bit lighter. It's spring, summer. I've been slowly seeing my pieces have more light and vibrancy and heat and energy coming through. I like to think about it just like we seasonally eat. I feel like I'm a seasonal painter, painting with the vibes. I was first inspired by this clay trail running, and I'm just running the trails and seeing just glitter glistening as the sun is coming through the trees into the trail. And just, I think there's nothing more beautiful than nature. And I'm super drawn to the beauty of imperfection within us as humans and within nature, you know? Nobody ever looks at a tree branch and says, "You're not beautiful because you're not symmetrical," you know? It's actually the asymmetry that gives that tree its beauty, its uniqueness. And I think the same is true for us, and the same is true with art. And I think actually getting over perfectionism is a key to being able to even make things in this world. So many of us are looking at other people and saying, wow, I can't do it like that. I'm not good enough. But, you'll never be the best at being someone else. Your job is just to be the best you possible. And no one's better at that than you. And I was able to let go of doing art the way other people do art, or comparing myself, when I was able to really step into my artistry and have people say, actually, we love what you're doing, and see that my voice, my perspective, my gifts have a place and I have a point of view. I think sometimes things are so innate to us that we don't really see it as gifts, and we're not really clear on how the things that make us unique are so unique. And that's one of the things I love about art is the things that we're drawn to with art, the things that we want to create with, like me finding this clay and wanting to be someone who uses clay in my work. It is very indicative to who I am. It was me following my desire, and each one of us are guided in a different path. I always think about it with large pieces too. It's like I've always been drawn to making these large pieces. And I remember somebody telling me like how hard it is to make a large piece, and I relate to it totally different. I feel so much freedom with a large piece. So I just think it's so beautiful that we're each drawn to what we're supposed to be drawn to. We're each guided toward what we're supposed to be guided to. And our job is to learn to like love ourselves and honor ourselves enough to choose the thing that we really want, to believe that it's possible for us to have the things that we really want, and that this isn't some sort of weird torture chamber where we're given desires that are never meant to be fulfilled. You know, the desires that you have, the visions that you have, that's a potential for you. And I just encourage anybody who has the longing to make art or do anything, that you get to give yourself that. You get to choose that. You get to decide what your life looks like, how you're going to move through life, and who you're going to be. So, the thing I remember hearing somebody say once that the thing that's meant for you should feel like, me? Like, I get to do that? And yeah, like the thing you're meant to do is supposed to feel like the most exciting, like easeful, beautiful thing in the world. And, that's part of how I know that this is my calling, because there's nothing better to me than just being immersed in my senses, being out here making something with my hands, playing with colors, you know, being under the sky. There's nothing better for me. So it's like I choose that for myself no matter what. And, the details the details are the details. Okay, this is my first live, so I'm getting comments. Hi. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna figure out how to respond to comments. But thank you so much for watching, and yeah, have a great day.